Yo, what up, what's up? Welcome back, fantasy players, hustlers, and grinders. Week 12 is in the book. It's history. It's over. And so is my fantasy hopes and dreams. The Tar Babies go down in the flame last night. We'll hear about that more. We are back live here in the Pinhead studio. With me today is the Pinhead and No Stat G. What's going on, Pin?
Yo, what's up, man? What's up?
You ready to rock and roll this thing again?
I'm excited. I got some weird stories and some fun stuff.
That's awesome, man. As always, I'm your host, Reggie Nobles, and we'll be kicking this show off live. We'll be talking about some weird news, some sports updates. We've got Blurred Line coming with JayP. And as always, our Week 13 picks, studs and duds. And we'll talk about last week's. We'll reveal last week's picks. So, yeah, man, should be a good episode, man. Let's go ahead and serve this damn thing up hot, bro.
Let's do it, man.
All right, man. Let's kick it off with some funny news, man. You got anything for us there, Pin?
Well, man, yeah. I found a couple things. There was a St. Augustine, Florida man,
Right, Florida.
Yeah.
We're already off to a good start.
Right. He was at the Lehigh Valley International Airport in Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
And he was stopped when he was trying to board his flight. And it was discovered that his bag contained a military-grade rocket-propelled grenade launcher.
Okay.
The weapon, it was partially unassembled, but it was still over 3 feet long.
He didn't check it in. He was
Right.
He was going to carry it on.
When confronted about it, the guy said that he thought that he was okay to bring it as long as it was in a checked bag.
Wow.
And apparently they said, no, that's not right. They took it, they confiscated it from him, and then allowed him to board his plane and make his flight back home to Orlando, but then warned the public that if you try this, you could be subject to a fine up to $13,000.
But he got to go home.
Yeah, he was fine with his military-grade rocket-propelled grenade launcher.
That's pretty crazy, man. I would have been suspect riding on the plane with the guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would be scared to ride on a plane with that on the plane.
Well, that too.
Even in the hold, you know?
Right. One wrong bump and
right. Some
turbulence.
Right.
Hey, dude. What in the hell was he thinking?
He wasn't. He was a St. Augustine, Florida man.
Yeah, I mean, so where was he coming from again?
He was coming from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And was headed back home.
So did he buy it in Pennsylvania?
that was not made clear in the story.
I mean, because my question then turns to, did he take it there?
Right. Did he make it there once already?
Right. Well, what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm concerned. What happened in Pennsylvania? Maybe we should look up news in Pennsylvania. Anything can go kaboom?
Really? Yeah, that's crazy. I always think about that when when I go to the airport, because it's such a thorough check, you know, of what they do to you now. You make you take off all your clothes and stand there and all this stuff. I always think back about Damon Stoudemire. You remember the little guard?
Uh-huh.
Little guard out of Arizona, played a good bit of his career with the Blazers. And at one point, he'd been in the league for several years, and he had booked a flight from Portland to New Orleans. And upon boarding the flight, he was arrested because he had marijuana in his pocket wrapped in tinfoil.
I remember that.
Yeah, that sticks out to me as one of the dumbest. And you're not going to Provo, Utah. You're going to New Orleans.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that some member of the Hornets could hook you up.
Right.
You know, back then it was.
Sure.
That always ranked to me among the dumber things I'd ever heard.
I mean, that's almost as bad as going into a Panther game with a plastic bottle and pouring it into a metal flask,
right.
And then getting shocked that you're not allowed to go in.
How can this be?
Right.
Yeah, well, that's pretty plain.
How'd they know?
Okay, and also though, in a South Jacksonville laundromat in Florida, okay, this is wild. Roderick Stephen Hines, he was catching a little cat nap as he washed his clothes when an unknown man wearing a ski mask and carrying a gun quite literally bounced into the room. The guy had a pogo stick. All of this is caught on surveillance camera. The man then, he dismounted, and he proceeded to strike Hines 9 times in the head and chest with the pogo stick before running away. Hines subsequently died at the hospital. Yeah.
Wow.
And the police were unable to locate the pogo stick that was used in the beating.
That's the problem. Huh?
Right, yeah. They said that Hines may have had some other health issues, but he certainly was suffering from a gash in the back of his head.
So my question is, why did he hop away? And you hopped in the room.
It would have been much smoother. It literally said that he ran away. I was disappointed.
Right. It would have changed that story from like cool to gangster.
Yeah.
Like I hopped in, whooped his ass with the pogo stick, and then hopped on.
You'd have a little trail of blood one little dot every 5 feet.
Right.
Boing,
that
boing.
gives you a lot of rep in the pen too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I whooped his ass and hopped off.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Maybe if he would have hopped off, he would have not got caught. Well, it was on tape though, right? So
Well, they still haven't caught him.
Oh,
he had a mask on and he was wearing all black. They still haven't caught him.
Okay, but they're still looking for the pogo stick as well.
Right. They need the murder weapon.
Well, I guess the murderer.
This is the first death by pogo I've ever heard of. I've seen some guys really get messed up on one.
I've never actually used the pogo stick.
I wouldn't want to do it now, but when I was a kid, it didn't seem hard. I never got hurt doing it or anything.
I guess we was just unfortunate. I mean, we never had one.
Well, they kind of went away for a while.
Yeah,
people just didn't pogo.
We had scooters and dirt bikes and bicycles and slinkies. I don't remember a pogo stick.
Yeah, it wasn't big for our
Hula
generation,
hoops.
man.
And we missed out.
we really did, man. All right, well, I got another news story here. This is now I'm gonna get off Florida's back. This is about a bungling felon from Washington State, and he had a really really bad day some weeks back when a series of blunders led him to shooting himself in the testicles. He tried to hide the weapon, all while storing drugs in his anus. Yes, Cameron Jeffrey Wilson, 27 years old.
Plexico, but go ahead.
Cameron Jeffrey Wilson. He's 27 years old. He had a pistol in his front pocket that discharged, piercing his thigh and testicles. Mm-hmm. The 13-time felon then...
Whoa.
Right, then, 13-time felon then instructed his girlfriend to dispose of the weapon. Okay, and before he headed to the hospital, where a balloon of marijuana slipped out of his anus as the surgeon performed surgery to get the bullet out. The cops were called in. They searched his car. They shockingly found methamphetamines in his car. So that they arrest him after the surgery, and the guy makes these phone calls to his girlfriend, like threatening her to not cooperate with the police and don't give them the gun and all this stuff. So they've got that. He was charged with all kind like obstruction.
Oh, so he was in jail when he made the call.
Yeah,
which those calls are recorded.
Yeah,
it actually says that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he tried to intimidate the witness. Witness intimidation was another thing. It was all kind. He's got a litany. So he was a 13-time felon, and he's facing like 5 or 6 more.
Yeah.
Here, that's just, folks. Your anus is not a good hiding spot, for one.
Never.
And honestly, carrying a gun in your front pocket as a 13-time felon is not a good idea.
Well, first off, having a handgun as a felon is instant jail time.
Right. It's a terrible idea.
And then I believe I know in our state, and then New York, and I'm not sure about Washington State, but a lot of states, you get added years per bullet. So if you're carrying a little Glock that holds 13, you're going to get like 7 years for the gun and 13 years for the bullets.
Right.
Wonder
do they charge him for the one that's lodged in his testicles?
I think you should get an additional 7 for that one.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, then the lesser of the two evils, you leave in the car. I mean, you hide in your bum, but you leave the meth in the car.
Yeah, the meth's in the car.
Right.
But the reefer, boy.
Right, which, I mean, is generally a hand slap in most states. Right. And you get caught with bud. I mean, you don't even have to go to...
But I guess they, numbed his crotch area for the shot. Yeah, to perform the surgery, And because it said it slipped out.
Freaking doctors, man. Freaking narcs.
Really?
What the hell, dude? Like, I mean, it was a balloon full of pot. Not coke, not meth. Like,
I think this guy probably had it coming, man.
Well, I mean, the fact that he's a free man and has 13 felons and he's 27 speaks volumes of that judicial system up in Washington.
Really?
I mean, if you want to go to anywhere and just be a moron, that sounds like the state to do it.
Yeah, you don't usually get 13 cracks at it,
No. I mean, 3 strikes and you're out most places, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's got 13. So
You got to believe he'll have a tough time in jail if they know about this story.
well, I think first off, he'll be the laughing stock for a while.
Right.
You know.
But it's known that he was willing to put things in
Well,
his butt.
and then I was gonna say after people get done laughing, then he'll be, somebody's wife.
Yeah.
You know?
Yikes.
Yeah. Well, hey, man.
Little Cameron Jeffrey.
Little Cameron.
He didn't turn out like we'd hoped.
We need to follow up on that because I mean, this should be open shut. I mean, they should be prosecuting this guy within a couple weeks. I want
Yeah.
to see how much time he gets.
Yeah, we'll follow up on Cameron Jeffrey Wilson.
Anything less than 20 years, I'm shocked. 13
Yeah, you're
fellas,
not-
and then to shoot yourself. I don't understand it. I mean, you have the gun in your pocket. I mean, I'm guessing it was maybe like a. Did it say what kind of gun it was?
It didn't say.
So I'm thinking maybe it's like a 32, like a revolver, or something with a hammer on it, and maybe it got stuck in your. How the hell? Did
Yeah,
you shoot
there's so
yourself?
many stupid things. Maybe even the phone call from jail intimidating the girlfriend might be the dumbest.
Yeah.
I mean, just the whole thing is dumb. Cameron Jeffrey Wilson lacks the intelligence to be among the regular
I wonder if
public,
she was like, okay.
yeah, okay, Cameron
Yeah, not a
Jeffrey.
problem. Yeah, I got you. And then they were like, nah, she
No,
don't.
no.
We've got this on tape, dude, as previously stated when you made this phone call.
Whenever
mean,
you watch
and
stuff
you-
like Dateline,
and
you
you-
see that too.
And you've got 13 felonies, so
You've done this before.
right, you have, even if they don't tell you, someone has told you, hey, dude, when you use the phone, be careful. I mean, you had to have had a good lawyer at some point to still be on the streets after 13 Fs. I
Right.
mean, this kid, man, he, hey, man, this is the Darwin effect at its best, man. We don't need that guy out reproducing. Thank God he shot himself in his genitals. Thank God that he's going to get locked up, hopefully for the rest of his natural life, because we've already got enough dumbasses walking
Oh
around.
yeah, and this guy too. They showed if you can look him up, his mugshot, and his eyes are so close together, almost like touching. He's a bizarre looking guy. He didn't come from good genetic stock to begin with, and I mean that's all apologies to Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. But yeah, something went wrong with little Jeffrey there, Cameron Jeffrey.
His eyes are really close together.
Very, yeah, very. Yeah, he really.
Almost instantly, though, when you start telling this story, I had a picture in my head of this guy, and then you said Cameron, and quickly comes to my mind is Lil Cameron.
Right, our buddy.
Yeah, not Juicy.
Oh, right.
Lil Cameron, because he's a cool cat. I love this kid.
Yeah,
man. He's
he's cool,
super
man.
duper funny, man. But yeah, I can see him doing some shit like that. Like really good, man. I watched that kid. We were at that chili cook-off. I watched him fall in 2 minutes apart, up the steps and down them. Like,
Sweet.
you can't get up them. Why go back down them? But anyway, he was walking around with a fifth in his back pocket.
Wow.
Yeah. Some people's children, man.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So, well, anyway, man, let's.
That's all the best from around the world.
Okay, man.
What's the National Football League looking like?
Well, oh man, shoot. Well, we've got a lot of controversy going down in Dallas, where owner Jerry Jones was quick to call out his puppet, Garrett.
I just can't. I don't understand why he consistently will throw people under the bus. You hired these people.
Right.
They are your people.
Well, then it also plays the question is, like, you're doing this to your guy, because, I mean, it's clear that Garrett's your guy. Who wants to come play for you, work for you? Like, if that's how you're going to treat me in the media, I get it, man. He makes an investment, and that investment is to get W's. However, I wouldn't want to come work for you. You're going to throw me under the bus.
Yeah, and he accepts no responsibility for the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're only the president, owner, and GM.
You're the general manager.
Right.
And you
So-
hired all these people.
All of those players, were picked by you. They just do some dumb stuff. in
Seeing them
Dallas.
lose, as I've said before, it never, ever, ever does or will get old for me. And watching them
No.
lose, and most of it is because when faced with hard times, the Dallas Cowboys franchise squirms in a more entertaining manner than anyone else.
Yeah.
They are world class squirmers, man. It's the truth. We will backpedal just backpedal all the way back up against the ropes and then come out fighting again. You know, it's great.
Right.
They're high drama.
Right. Well, then there's been the talk all over ESPN all day about young Lamar Jackson. Is he the best quarterback in the NFL?
He's the toughest quarterback to defend in the NFL right now. I can confidently say that. And breaking it down to best, you know, that a lot of that comes with winning under pressure and handling big stages and things like that we've yet to see from him because he's yet to be in those spots.
Right.
But I certainly
still out, is
I
what you're
cannot
saying.
think of a quarterback that I would less like to game plan against if I'm a defensive coordinator.
Right. I mean, I think if I was building a franchise, at 22, I would like to have that kid on my team. You know, that doesn't mean that he's the best. It just means that, you know, I potentially have, 7 or 8 years of him being a dual threat player like he is. Stephen A. Smith was quick to say no. Hell no is actually what he said. And, his comments was out of his 24 touchdowns, 10 of them were against the Dolphins, which I don't think that was true, but that's what he said. And 4 were against Houston, and then obviously 5 against the Rams.
Well, he didn't score 10 against the Dolphins.
Well, I'm just telling you what the dude said. That's exactly what he said. And maybe he was going back 20 to 2018, which I didn't check into it. But, I mean, I literally just watched it before we was recording. I was sitting
Is
here
this
watching.
Jackson's second year or third?
Second.
Second year. Right.
So I think he played 7 or 8 games last year. He could have possibly finished up against the Dolphins. But I will say this. He's thrown 19 touchdowns in the red zone and not one pick in the red zone. That's something to be said about the guy.
Yeah, no doubt. He's learning the offense, but he's just a whale of an athlete, man. He's the most impressive thing to me was the run pass options or the option that he has to give the ball up straight up the gut or take it himself off to the side.
Right.
He makes the correct read on that pretty much every time, and that's hard to defend.
Yeah, I mean he's on my short list of quarterbacks I would like to have at the helm of my team.
Okay, you got him,
Russell Wilson.
Let's say with the young, super young guys. You got him.
Okay.
You got Mahomes. You got Watson, and you got Murray.
Wow.
Let's say 5 years from now, who's the best?
I mean, well, okay, that's fair. That's fun. And a lot of it's going to have to do with who can stay on the most consistently coached team. Andy Reid has a has a history of having a long tenure everywhere he's been. Look at what he did at the Eagles. I think he was there for 13, 14 years.
Yeah, a long time.
So he's been with the Chiefs maybe 3, 4.
Yeah.
So I mean, Patty kind of jumps off the page, but Harbaugh and those boys up in Baltimore, I mean, they seem to love him. I would say Patty won. I mean, look at the weapons he has around him. He plays in the AFC West, so that's going to boost your stats. Whereas Lamar plays in the AFC North, and that's just tough football up there,
Black and blue.
And you would have to believe that if the Steelers keep Mike Tomlin, they're going to get tougher defensively. That's 2 matchups that you can count on him facing a top-tier defense. Who knows what Cleveland is going to do? Who knows what Cincinnati's going to do? I would have to go with Patty Mahomes, man. What do you think?
Well, to me, it'd be between Mahomes and Watson, just because Watson is a proven winner.
Yeah.
The guy, he won in college.
He did.
And, at a big rate. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch those 4 guys as we go forward because they're all really good athletes as well as, quality quarterbacks. So I think it'll be fun. I think that Mahomes has the most talented arm, but is probably the least talented runner. Well, he's certainly the least talented runner out of those 4.
Out of those 4,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And Murray, we have such a small sample size from him, but that kid has got a lot of tools, man.
He does.
He's got a lot of tools.
He does.
So
I took my nephew to see Wake Forest, Louisville.
I remember you told me about that. Didn't Jackson just had an awful game?
God-awful game. And I was like, man, you get to see, one of the best quarterbacks in college. And he stunk it up. And I remember, man, his name's Mari. Or Mari. We call him Mari. He looks at me. He's like, this dude,
Yeah.
he's the best. I mean,
But didn't he do something spectacular toward the end of the
yeah,
game?
he had one breakaway touchdown, man, where he probably ran for 40, 50 yards. It looked great. And then he was like, oh, okay.
Right, all right.
But, like, the whole game, he was just looking at me like, dude, you clearly don't watch any football because
Right,
this dude is terrible. And he's a Wake Forest Deacons fan, Demon Deacons fan. And he's like, man, we're giving them the business. If he's the greatest, then what does that make us?
Right. That's a solid argument from a kid, man.
I mean, they never lie, man, and they see it clear, man. Yeah, man. So anyway, man, that's been all of the talk of town is who's the best quarterback in the NFL, and or is Lamar Jackson the best quarterback in the NFL?
He's got to be the leader for MVP.
I think he shot up with that performance we saw last night, which was, pretty good,
What do you? I think the odds of a San Francisco Baltimore Super Bowl are pretty strong.
Man, I'd like to see that, man, but let's not count Seattle out either, though.
No, or the Patriots.
And I've been hating hard on the 49ers. Jimmy G is in the lead, and I'm fucking wrong.
Yeah,
they're good.
They stomp ass, man. They're a lot like Baltimore defensively. They get after the quarterback.
They're good.
Yeah,
and they don't make a whole lot of mistakes offensively.
Jimmy G, there's a lot of games where they don't ask much of him.
Nah.
But when they do, he does it.
He does, man.
So,
I gotta admit it. I've been hating on the dude, man. I don't know why. Maybe it was because he was a Patriot, and maybe it was because Stat liked him. I don't know, but I have been hating on that dude, and I guess I'm here to say that, yeah, man, the jury's back in. He's a stud.
Yeah, I'm interested to see your power rankings this week.
Yeah, man, let's talk about it real quick, man. Let me pull that baby out.
I imagine Baltimore at 1.
Baltimore is up from 2-1. After that,
What else?
Pushing New England down 1. Had New England had a better showing, and I get the elements did come into play. I think I would have kept them at 1, but right now we got to go with the team that beat them. So I got Seattle at 3, the same. San Francisco at 4, the same. The Saints moved up 1 after beating my boys in a heartbreaker from 6-5. Buffalo moved up for 3 on me. I think Buffalo is a really good team, man. I've been drinking the juice, man. They're probably going to prove me wrong in the playoffs, but I have them as my number 6. Minnesota didn't move. They stayed at 7. Kansas City stayed at 8. Houston moved down 1 slot to 9. It's because Buffalo jumped over them. Green Bay dropped down 4 from 6 to 10. Tennessee is at my top, is 11. I did not have them in anywhere near the 15, but they are a strong team, well coached, really disciplined, and run the ball well. And Ryan Tannehill is actually going. We'll talk about this later, but I think he's the play of the week this week. I have the Colts down 1 from 11 to 12. I Pitt up 2. They're going to win. It's possible. No, they're not going to win the division. I'm tripping. There's no way they're going to win that division. Never. But anyway, I've got
they can make the playoffs.
They can make the playoffs, and I've got the Cowboys down 4 and Philly down 1. So 14 and 15 is the NFC East champion. That is going to be the worst playoff team.
Yeah, it looks like that's the truth.
So that's where I'm at with my MPI this week, man. What's your thoughts on that?
It sounds pretty good to me. I think you got. I would have the 49ers a little higher.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I'm sure they play Seattle again.
Yeah, they do. And like I said, there really hasn't been any movement there. They've been 3 and 4 since they've played. Mm-hmm. So the only 2 teams above them that's moved is Baltimore and New England. So for whatever reason though, man, I know I just went on this rant about maybe they're real. I still like Seattle more than I like San Francisco. Again, I don't know what it is about me in San Francisco. Just not a fan of the city of the Bay. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're good.
They're certainly good.
I'm just not ready.
They got a good record, and they just annihilated a good quarterback on the road.
Didn't see that coming.
No, they annihilated him. So.
I don't think anyone saw that. As a matter of fact, all 3 of us picked Green Bay last week. So speaking of that, let's talk about our picks last week. So you and Stat both went 9 and 5. and I went 11-3. I don't have the update from last week because Stat's not here, and he's been keeping us of where we're at overall. But I would speculate to say that I think we're about tied. I think you made up a game or two last week.
Yeah, it's got to be within a game or so.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not any separation. I made up 2 games this week, and I think I was 1 or 2 games behind Stat. I think you were 2 games behind Stat, or 3 games. You made up 2 last week. Y'all tied this week. So I think we're all right there, dead even, but we'll definitely have that for you next week, and hopefully Stat will be here. He's been busy working, trying to pay the bills, which I can understand, because no one has yet sent us any money to our damn Cash App, Reggie_Nobles. It's pretty easy to do. You don't have to leave your living room, comfort of your bed. While you're driving down the road, if you're listening to this, just open that Cash App and just send me some money. And if you're having a hard time figuring it out, just text me and I'll share the app with you, and then you can send it directly to me. Guys, we need to pay some bills around here, man. So man, what you think, man? You ready to do some studs and duds, man?
Yeah, let's see what week 13 has.
Well, you mentioned kicking it off, so we'll talk about Thursday night football, man. But I'll let you grab the ham.
Well, how about we start off in Big D?
Big D
on Thanksgiving Day.
Okay. Well, which is that the first game?
I don't know. It's 4:30.
Okay. I think there's a 10:30 game, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, there's a 1 p.m. But anyway.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So I'm kind of with you, man. I think the Bills are for real, and Dallas again. It's so fun to watch them lose, and they start blaming each other and all that mess. I think Dallas is a 7-point favorite in this game. I actually like Buffalo to win.
Yeah, I love the Buffalo.
I'm going Buffalo. I really like Buffalo with the points, especially if you can get that play. But yeah, man, Josh Allen. He's 2 interceptions, 15 touchdowns. That's what you got to do. You got Frank Gore moving into 3rd place all time.
That's awesome. Passing the great.
I
Barry
was looking
Sanders.
up. I was looking up the other day the Wonderlic test, and Frank Gore scored a 6. The lowest ever is a 4.
Well, you ain't got to be a genius to hit the hole, apparently, right?
No, but I wouldn't have thought. I guess you don't really know much about Frank Gore. He doesn't do a lot of mic. He doesn't get a lot of mic time.
He's a quiet guy.
Yeah, he is. But either way, yeah, 6. That's not good. But no, I still like the Bills to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah. I mean, so after you got done watching that snooze fest at 12:30, the Chicago-Detroit game, mosey on over to Buffalo and Dallas to a game that, should be a little bit more exciting. Should be a lot of big hitting. Buffalo has proven that their defense is just as solid, as you can get. They run the ball pretty well. Josh Allen and company. I think they're gonna embarrass Dallas. Fun fact for you: since 2011, I think we spoke about this briefly last night. Since 2011, Dallas is 1-7 on Thursday night Thanksgiving games.
Excellent.
And they're a 7-point favorite here. So I don't understand what that is. I mean, Dallas has been struggling in national televised games, and this one, no game's bigger than this one, as everybody will be watching. There's really nothing else to do but go to grandma's house, eat some turkey, get the itis, and watch the Cowboys get embarrassed by Buffalo. So
I hope you're right, man.
Yeah, I mean, I like my man Josh Allen, man, who's had a great season, man, in that offense, so to speak. I mean, they not juggernauts or anything, but I think he should have a pretty decent fantasy day, maybe about 22 points. I love Devin the Dude, who's been spelling Frank the Tank. With Frank there, he's still going to get you about 12 points. John Brown. Not Josh.
No, John Brown.
John Brown. He should see double-digit targets this week, making him a solid fantasy number 2 receiver for you guys gearing up to get ready for the playoffs, man. I would definitely have this guy in. Dak's going to be Dak. Nothing crazy, but, 18, 19-point performance out of your quarterback. I mean, start worthy. Zeke should have a pretty decent day. I mean, I can see him getting right around 100 yards against this stingy defense just because they're going to give him the ball 20, 25 times. So not a whole lot of yards per carry, but a lot of carries. Amari Cooper, should redeem himself. Did you see that drop he had? That
Yeah.
God bless that guy, man. Bless that guy. But I can see him with 6 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown. And my favorite guy, man, in Dallas right now is Gallup. He ain't good for about 8 or 9 points, but I just like his name.
Yeah, it's a good name for anybody that runs.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. And then hold up. Let me open up here. I got stats picked, which let's see. I hate when people text me, "What are you getting into?" After I talk to them and said, "Hey, I'm gonna be recording for my fantasy show."
Oh yeah.
What are you getting into? Same shit I told you earlier, buddy. Nothing's changed. We talked hours ago. So he went with the Bills as well. So
Wow, clean sweep. They were probably totally wrong.
yeah, buddy.
Well, that's how that goes. All right, man. Well, let's go to the game that you mentioned before, the Bears and Lions. That's what we'll be waking up to on Thanksgiving Day, the early game. That's going to be a snoozer. Not much offense either way. What do you think? Would you agree with me on that?
That game is going to be horrible.
It should be terrible. I think, in my mind, I'm going with the Bears because of all the units on either team, the Bears' defense is the best.
Yeah.
And so I just think that'll make the difference because nobody else, nobody's kicking games very good. Nobody's special teams, nobody's offense is good. So I think the Bears' defense is a difference. I'm going with the Bears.
Yeah, this matchup is, I'm looking at the ESPN matchup predictor. They've got the Bears at 49.9% and the Lions at 49.8%. So they've got a 0.4% chance of it being a tie. This game is one of those ones that you're going to watch it because, there's not going to be much to do on Thanksgiving. Everything's going to be closed. You're going to be probably getting ready to go to grandma's house, and it's just going to be on. I don't think the viewership's going to be high, but there's no way that I can choose anybody but the Bears in this game. There's not a lot of fantasy production that's going to be popping off. Trubisky, we've seen what he can do. Mediocre at best, maybe 16 points. The best play that you can play this week is going to be the Bears defense. Chicago is struggling at quarterback. I do like my guy Jeff Driscoll to maybe have a 20-point game because there might be some garbage time passing, but I don't know if Allen Robinson is a safe play this week. Montgomery hasn't been consistent enough with his touches. Galladay and Jones, they're both worth about 9 points. So, not a great game. Nothing exciting to talk about it. I will say this though, man. I did look up the lines earlier today, and Westgate has the Bears a 3-point favorite, and then I saw it somewhere else at 1. So really, nobody knows what's going on with this. That's just like the same day you see different lines, man, like that big of a swing.
Yeah, no, that's kind of odd.
It's really odd. So, and I think old Stat's going to join us, man, for another clean sweep. So we're all three on the Bears here, man. And that's the pen he's getting.
Right on. Well, man, how about you lead us through to the next games and from here on, because I have mistakenly not written which team was at home, and that sometimes makes a big difference.
All right, that's not a problem. So next we got New Orleans traveling into the A. New Orleans are a 7-point favorite. Over-under is 49. Drew Brees and company will be seeking revenge this week. They are quite honestly the hottest team in the South. Well, that goes without saying. Atlanta has been pretty good, but not good at home. So there's
strangely for years it was complete opposite.
Right.
I had Julio for most of his career until this year, and actually all of his career until this year, and I could trust him like crazy at home, but sometimes they get out on grass and they looked hamstrung kind of. They were a team built for speed, but you're right. This year it's been completely the opposite.
Yeah, and he's having a really good year. One of his knocks has been crazy. It's him getting in the end zone much. He's only had 64, and I say he's only had 64 receptions, but I'm looking at him in comparison to his polar opposite on the other side of the field, number 13, who's got 104 receptions.
Yeah, don't nobody compare to
so
that guy.
It's kind of unfair what I just did to Quinn Torres there. But you're going to play all of your favorites, man. Breeze is going to be good enough to throw up 25 points. We might even see him not play the fourth quarter. This thing, I think, is going to get out of hand that quick. Mike Thomas is just a standout wide receiver. I mean, needless to say, you're going to play him because he's easily going to get you 20 fantasy points. AK-41 should have a combined 100-yard day, good enough for 15 points. Sneaky play this week, Tyson Hill. I think he's going to have about 13 points. And again, I think they're going to tool up against the Falcons, man. The Falcons embarrassed them, and I think we're going to see Sean Payton dig into his bag of tricks this year. And we know he loves that toy. Matt Ryan, I mean, play him, 20 points. Julio, why not? Austin Hooper, if he plays, solid day against the Saints defense, maybe 12 points, and then play the Saints defense.
Yeah, they also are. I believe they're going to get Devonta Freeman back this week. I saw he practiced in full, and that's nothing to shake your head at. He's considerably better than anybody else they've got on their roster at running back.
Right,
considerably better.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
that's a clouding factor for me. I think if the Falcons could run the football some, they could keep it close and like maybe control the clock a bit, especially with the home crowd being loud. They're maybe deafening in that place, probably, But speaking of that, just for a second on a sidebar, I heard this neat fact, and this is a fact, is that many people who are born deaf. Okay, and they later.
I don't know why that was funny.
Later in life, they gain hearing, as we've been able to do with some procedures here in the last couple of decades. It's not uncommon for these people to be surprised that the sun doesn't make a noise.
Because they probably can see like the why.
I don't know.
I'm just sitting here thinking like, well, that kind of makes sense, and then I'm thinking, well, no, it doesn't.
Right, I know. The only thing I could think is like maybe if they've been around some big lights like at a stadium or something, and when it turns on, you get that maybe that body vibe that they can feel, and they say, well, if that's that bright, well, this thing here,
that motherfucker loud as shit.
Right. But how crazy would that be? Like if in the morning it was just a low hum, and it's like as it came up and it was like somebody mowing the yard all the time.
That would help me out, as I've been struggling to get up in the mornings here since I've hit 40.
But a deaf person would be fine in the Superdome this weekend or in Atlanta this weekend. I mean, as loud as it would get, a deaf person wouldn't care. I'm also with you. I'm going with the Saints.
Yeah, no shot
there. Yeah, Mike Thomas. He's just too much, and the Falcons are just. They've been really bad, except for 2 games in which they were really, really good.
Really good.
If that team shows up, the Falcons could win this game easily.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing to bet that team shows up. The Saints should be motivated from losing to them at home. I'm going Saints.
Yeah, I mean, there's just too much production, man, that the Saints can provide. I mean, all the weapons that they have. And no shock here, but our buddy and absent friend to the end and back against that went with the Saints as well. All right, so let's mosey on over to Sunday, where the Philadelphia Eagles will travel down south to Miami, where they are a 9.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 45 points. That line probably is going to move, as I think they should be a bigger favorite, but I would jump all over 9.5 points. Philly's been underperforming, and it's kind of disappointing. I put a lot of chips in the Carson Wentz basket this year. I thought he was going to be an MVP, bouncing back. They got rid of Nick Foles, so there was no pressure for him to have to perform well week in, week out. The job is yours, kid. But he's banged up, and he might not play this week. So McCown may get the nod, and if he does, that doesn't really change my pick, as Miami is just god-awful. They've got their W, and I think they're just going to coast on in to see if they can get Burrow down in the South.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just Fitzpatrick's still starting for them.
Yeah.
Well, he only knows one way.
That's it. Go hard.
Yeah, he's not going to roll over. And I also, when I was looking at the Wonderlic test for players, Fitzpatrick scored a 48 out of a possible 50.
Well, I mean, that's what Harvard will.
Well, that's true. But I just wanted to.
But that test is culturally biased.
I've never taken it. I tried to take it,
Really?
but and I go through the whole test, and at the end they want my PayPal account to tell me the result. I'm
How
like,
much
yeah.
is it?
I don't know. I just like, yeah, forget it.
Again, guys, let's find out where the Pinhead stacks up here. Reggie_Nobles, that's his cash app, and you can also just give him money.
Man, I'll take a Wonderlic test.
Yeah. I'd
I'm
love to
with
see
it.
I just sat here and watched this kid play Jeopardy, 20 minutes before the show, and he was all over. There was a category on sports.
Yeah, don't give me a sports category in Jeopardy.
Buzzed through that thing. And then he actually got the final Jeopardy question correct, which no other contestant did. So,
The old FDR New Deal was the answer tonight. But no, I'd take a Wonderlic test. I don't know if 50's the best, and Rashad Penny had an 11, then I can go 25 or so. Mm-hmm. If I'm not above 25, I'd be surprised.
what is it based off of?
I
though?
don't know, man. I don't know. I was talking about that earlier. It wouldn't give me all the questions. It just gave me like one or two, and it was like, oh, you can't do it anymore. But I was wondering, also like an IQ test. That's a strange thing,
Right.
in that they can give a test to a 5-year-old. Well, this kid is genius IQ,
Right.
Yeah, but you couldn't give a kid of 5 years old the same test you'd give a 35-year-old.
I wouldn't think.
But how could you measure it? I wonder. I'd love to see these kids who are geniuses, when they're 5, and that's their IQ. My IQ is whatever. Well, take the test now that you're 30.
Right.
I'm betting you're not a genius. I'm putting heavy money on the not genius, by the time you're an adult. It's supposed to just measure your capacity for learning.
That's what I'm just reading it here. And it's,
Well, if that's so, then it should be the same from one test to the next. If this test is accurate, and I just can't believe that that's the case.
Oh, I'd take it. It's only 12 minutes long. I can do that.
Yeah, it's 12 minutes long, 50 questions.
Yeah. I got that kind of time.
Yeah.
Hell.
Okay, but we digress.
All right.
Okay, so everybody was on the Saints.
We're at Miami.
We're
We're
Miami.
at Philly at Miami.
Right, that's right. Philly and Miami. Yuck, guys. I don't know. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Jeez. But again, I don't think the Dolphins will roll over. And if the Eagles can't get something going, I don't think this is a lock by any means. I don't know. I guess I just still think that everybody's better than the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Except for the Bengals. And I think they play the Bengals next week.
They do.
And Fitzpatrick will make the difference. I'll have to pick them in that.
Yeah.
But nah, this week, man, I'm going to go chalk too and stick with the Eagles. But again, not really confident in that.
And let's see what Stat had.
He's going with the Eagles.
He went with the Eagles. So we've got three sweeps. We've got 3 sweeps so far. So no shock there.
Well, we don't plan this ahead of time, folks. We do our picks individually, and then I'm hearing Nobles and Stats picks for the first time when you are.
Yeah, man. So look, let's speaking of the Bengals, they'll be hosting the Jets as a 3.5-point dog. Over under is at 40.5. The Jets have been balling out of control, man.
I like the Jets to cover and to win this game easily.
I love
34 points in each of their last 3.
Yes, sir.
And the number 1 run defense. That is a formula for winning, buddy. I can stop the run and I can score.
Right.
Shoot.
Absolutely.
Shoot.
Yeah. Sam Darnold's looking like one of the best late season fantasy acquisitions. So if you can grab Sam, I think.
Oh man, he should be rostered in every league at this point.
I'll do it. I think he's going to throw up 22, 23 points this week. Good enough to overplay like a Dak with this matchup, a Carson, a Cousins, a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, I really like this kid, man. He's tall. When they protect him, he can get rid of the ball. He makes all the reads. He can make all the throws. He's got a young, talented Jamison Crowder there who's been balling out of control. I think he's good for a good fantasy 14 this week. This game should be fun if you're a Jets fan. Though, I mean, it's one of those franchises where they have just like really loyal fans, and they just every year they're always like, "This is our year."
Bless you.
Thank you. But I think Cincinnati is going to try really hard this week as they're bringing back the red rifle in hopes not to finish 0 for this year.
Yeah. Man.
So and then
the Jets. What's the first thing I would do if I owned the Jets? Well, and I think you're never going to be really good until you do.
Move to Brooklyn.
Get our own field. Just stop it with this and acting like it's 50-50. It is
Yeah.
not. That is the Giants' home field.
It really
I
is.
mean, stop it. You
It
know,
really is.
Jets fans, we're 50-50. No,
No.
you're not.
Someone told me that they visited that stadium. It was a Jets game. Giants weren't there, and it was all red and blue. Everywhere.
Right, Jets colors.
Right. Yeah, move to Brooklyn.
Yeah, what the hell? You don't have your own place to play.
Right.
And you've been cool with that for decades. Like, get out of town, man. That to me is it's ridiculous in a sport that brings in
that
billions
market.
of dollars. Right. I mean, come on, man. It's crazy. Even go to, if you want cheaper real estate, move out to outside the city or even to New Jersey.
Well, that's where it's at right now, right? East Rutherford.
Well,
East Rutherland.
but Rutherford.
Whatever.
Yeah, East Rutherford.
Right. Thank
But
you.
yeah, just stay somewhere out of town.
Connecticut. Go somewhere else.
Yeah. But,
Anything's better than. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of that either, man. And
we're covering the Panthers today live from Falcon Stadium.
right.
Man, what the hell?
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, you know.
But we're picking the Jets because they have got it rolling, and the Bengals, we do not pick these Bengals.
Yes,
I'm
no,
not
we
going to
don't.
pick them. I'm not going to pick them all year.
And that's going to be another clean sweep here for the guys. So let's mosey over to my new favorite team to watch, man. I like hard-nosed football, as I said this last week. Tennessee is going to be on the road in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is minus 25, 2.5 points.
Whoa.
Right.
They know something I don't know.
Right, and the over-under on this
2.5.
game is 43.5, man. Tennessee is just tough as nails, man. I really like the way this team plays, man. They're physical. They run the ball hard. They stiff arm hard. They hit hard. Ryan Tannehill has been balling out of control. As I told you last week, I really like that guy. I really like him again this week. I don't think that without Marlon Mack, the Colts have enough to slow down the clock to offset that fire that Tennessee's going to bring, man. So I like Tannehill in a big way in this game, maybe 20 points. Big Derrick Henry will get you 17. A.J. Brown, guy we talked about early this season, has been showing flashes that he will be a wide receiver too, at least next year in fantasy. So for those dynasty league teams, he should definitely be a keeper. This kid has got a big body, big frame, great hands, runs like hell, you know, and he has a powerful stiff arm. Then on the other side of the ball, if you're looking for a running back this week, one of your waiver pickups should be Jonathan Williams, as I see him having a 12 to 13 point day. And then Jacoby and T.Y., why not? 13 and 19 points.
Yeah, man. I agree with you. The Titans are a nice surprise, fun team to watch. I like how they play too. I'm also a fan of that brand of football. The Colts being at home, they tend to have played a little bit better at home, but I think still, just like you, I think the death knell for them falls with Marlon Mack not being able to play. He's been super productive, and without him, they've really found, a whole lot of jack squattery. So, yeah, I'm going with the Titans as well. But again, man, another tough division game between two teams that know each other up one side and down the other. Don't be shocked if it goes the other way. Yeah, but
Right.
but I do agree with you, and all your points were completely valid. I'm good with it, man. I'd like to see the Titans make the playoffs.
I think they will if they continue to play the way that they're playing. I was looking at their strength of schedule. It's kind of on the low end side, too. I had it all pulled up here, but my iPad crashed on me for some reason. Anyway, it is what it is. Stats going to take the Colts as the lone wolf there. So
All right.
good luck to you, brother. All right, so let's bring our talents back to the Queen City as my beloved Carolina Panthers are a 10-point favorite against the god-awful Washington Redskins coming off a sub-20 win last week.
Still haven't scored 20 points since week 2.
Right. So, the Panthers are going to get off the schneid this week. Unfortunately, it won't mean much. Wish we could play Washington every week, but we can't. I think this game is going to be a blowout. You don't ever want to start Kyle Allen in my opinion, but if you did, expect a pretty decent day from him, maybe 21, 22 points. C-Mac's going to be, if not running back 1, running back 2, man, close to 30 points, man. He should have a great day, man. 159, 100 is what he's averaging. I don't see any reason for them being able to stop that. DJ has been playing great of late, so DJ Moore's a good play. Maybe 14 points. I love Carolina's defense. I can see a couple turnovers, maybe 4 or 5 sacks. And then on the other side of the ball, man, look no further than Terry McLaurin. Maybe 16 points from that guy. Nothing else doing on that side of the ball.
No, I agree, man. You see Haskins missing the last play of the game?
Taking a selfie.
Dude, I'm not at all a selfie fan. It's the silliest, just ego stroke shit ever. But I kind of get it more with a fan, but I don't get it when there's a play to be had. That's incredible immaturity to me. I mean, I know that it's a thing much more ingrained in people younger than me.
Right.
But still, that is just incredible immaturity.
Let me defend this young man. Now, you came all the way out spending $5 on the ticket.
Right.
Your team is winning.
You spent your hard-earned $5.
Right. You deserve a selfie with your quarterback. By damn, he did it. I'm proud of that young man. I love his ego. Nah, I'm gonna agree with you. What an idiot.
That's ridiculous.
Do
man.
that. There's a time and place.
You got all manner of time for selfies with
Before
children.
and after the game.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's just crazy, man. That really makes me question his future. Even I've never been high on him anyway, but
not a lot of people have.
No, but I think this to be one of the real locks this week. I can't imagine Carolina losing this game.
Yeah. So with that said, stats going to go with us, and that's 3. We've only had one game where someone picked different, which is
this week's easy, y'all.
Yeah, so jump in.
Where's your parlay sheets, folks?
Yeah, I actually really like the Panthers over in this game. We scored 31 points against the Saints, who shouldn't have. Who do have a better defense than Washington.
I haven't heard anything about it. You've got your ear to the grind on the Panthers. What about? Is there any talk about Will Grier?
Nah, there's no talk about Will Grier, but there was talk from Cam. Cam spoke 14 hours ago and said Charlotte is his home.
Yeah,
and as he always does, his annual Thanksgiving party where he invites a lot of young kids out, man. Great photos and pictures. Even David Tapper, the Panthers owner, showed up for support. But no mention of Will Grier to start. We did sign a kicker. He's on the practice squad this week. Don't understand. I mean, if you're a kicker, you should be practicing. I don't know why you got to join the practice squad.
I've never understood why scouting kickers is so hard. You watch him. Does it go through or does it not?
Right. It seems, I guess, though, there's a mental toughness involved that we don't see. We had a punter named Todd Sauerbrunn. I don't know if you remember this guy.
Yeah, man.
He was jacked up. He used to go to Tavern on the Track.
He was a team MVP one season.
Dude, he was jacked up.
But that's terrible.
No, it is. he led the league in punt percentages or some crazy like that. It was something ridiculous. But
he got a huge leg.
But when you're punting that much, like you said, that's not what you want.
No, the guy you hope never plays is your team MVP. That's bad.
He was a part owner of the Tavern on the Tracks, which is a Buffalo Bills bar. You've been there before, right?
I think you've told me about it.
And man, they'd say he would show up like every night, every other night, and pound a bottle of goose. So that's what I'm looking for in my kicker. There's always been, the rumor of Janikowski, the drunk foot, the Polish drunk foot. If that guy isn't pounding whiskey or vodka,
then the moment's going to be too big.
It's always going to be too big. If he gets out there, he's shaking one off, don't really know where he's at, he's just going to go out and do what he does.
Right.
So I'm looking for an alcoholic as my kicker.
Right on, man. Well, those are easy to find.
All righty, man. So let's move over, man, as Green Bay travels to the G-Man, home of the young Duke's own Daniel Jones, where they are a 6.5-point favorite. Over under is 45.5 point. I look for Aaron Rodgers and company to really do work, as they definitely laid an egg last week. The good news is they'll be facing this young team where I think the Giants offense ain't going to be quite prepared for this Green Bay's defense. And that right there is going to give me the edge in this game where I think, we might see about 17 points from New York. But I don't think this game is going to be close, man. Maybe 31-17. I think this thing is going to be a blowout. But there's only 3 points over the over. So, that's what I'm looking here. Aaron Rodgers, big day, 24 points. Devontae Adams is going to be Devontae Adams now that he's healthy, 17 points. Jones, all he does is get in the end zone. Expect a couple scores out of him, 14, 15 points. Even play Jamal Williams. I mean, they're going to be spelling him a lot, and he's going to break away for some runs. I think your boy, though, should have a decent fantasy day. And, I don't know if he's keeper status in the Dynasty League yet because he can be drafted early enough. Mm-hmm. But I definitely like this kid's future.
Yeah. The biggest thing with Daniel Jones so far, the biggest negative, has just been ball safety. And not so much throwing the ball into a bad position, but having it stripped out of his hands, holding it too long, and having it taken. And that's something, he's a smart kid, really smart. And that's something you can teach somebody, I think. He doesn't make bad throws all that often for a guy who's, let's face it, man, their offensive line is not very good.
No, it ain't been good years.
Right. And so he's under duress a lot, and he hasn't made a lot of bad throws. He's made some spectacularly good throws. But the ball control and safety when it's in his hands been his big concern. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think the Packers are just too much. Aaron Rodgers is going to find the sledding much easier this week than being just pounded last week. I don't see how in the world you'd pick the Giants, but saying that, who knows?
Yeah.
But now I would think this to be closer to a lock than to something I'd worry about.
Yeah, and to that note, I do see some fantasy production in the Giants locker room. Your boy Jones, I think, throws up 24, 25 points. I think he actually outscores Aaron Rodgers. Not outperforms, outscores. If that makes sense, because
completely.
I think they'll be playing from down, so he'll be throwing a little bit more.
The Packers run the ball better. Even with Saquon, the Giants can't. Their offensive line's not. Right. It's just not sturdy enough.
Well, Saquon Barkley should have a pretty big day, as he'll be part of that passing offense as well as that rushing offense. So expect him to have 18 points. Sterling Shepard is back, ladies and gentlemen, after having 2 concussions in 3 weeks. He's finally back.
I saw an interview with him, and he said,
"Did he drool a little bit?"
A little bit, man.
So expect him to perform maybe 12 points, and then Evan Ingram, man, he's been so inconsistently.
Is he playing?
Yeah, according to them,
he's been out
forever,
4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. He was my starting tight end, and I was rolling pretty when he was putting up big numbers. But
he's been just so inconsistent health wise, is what I was going to say. So
I like him a lot though at a tight end position because he's a receiver.
He is definitely a receiver. He's definitely a receiver. So again, though, like in a league like yours, where you do keep 6, a young tight end like that, God Almighty, gives you a real big advantage.
There's just no way in the world I'll be able to keep him.
You got too many studs.
Yeah, you got to keep Thomas and Hopkins.
Got to.
You don't cut Todd Gurley.
Man, that's.
Do you?
He's
still got 8 touchdowns on the year, man.
It's not been horrible.
I don't think you can cut him.
He's been a wide receiver. He's been a running back 2 in my league, and I can draft a running back 2.
I gotta keep Deshaun Watson. I gotta keep Kyler Murray. I feel like.
See, why would you keep 2 running? 2 receivers, 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Really?
Over those guys, yeah, man.
Over at Evan Ingram, if we go back to say maybe the first 5-6 weeks when he was healthy, he was either number 1, 2, or 3 tight end.
Yeah, I think I can get it. I think I could get him back easier.
You think?
I think somebody would jump on Kyler Murray.
Yeah, but is Kyler Murray that big of a? You're going to start Deshaun Watson every week, aren't you?
I didn't this year, and the weeks I didn't, Murray outperformed. Yeah, it's matchups, and he's got some decent matchups.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's going to be tough, man. Evan Ingram will be among those considered.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Where did stat go here? He went with the Packers, so we got another clean sweep. Surprise, surprise. Let's see. +3 for GBZ. All righty then, guys. So this game right here probably will be flex before Sunday. San Francisco is going to travel across the country to Baltimore. Baltimore is a favorite at home. 46-point over under. I like the over in this game. I've not taken San Francisco seriously all year. I've been saying that's the third time that I've said it. I'm not going to take them serious this week until someone can show me. I know the Baltimore Ravens stumbled early this year against the Ravens. That's a division foe, and as we know, we saw that with the Saints losing to the Falcons. Those things. I don't really put a whole lot of weight in that game, that loss. Lamar Jackson is something like we've never seen before. He reminds me of and we heard this a lot last night. If you watched the game, reminds me of Michael Vick. If we can go back and we can bring Vick back in today's NFL.
Yeah.
Do you think he would be?
Hell yeah, it'd be great. Vic still has much more of a laser arm than Jackson. I mean, Jackson puts in the right place, but Vic could just
he could fling that thing,
boy.
Man.
And but no, this kid is something super special. I
think this game right here is a toss-up game to who was ever at home. If we took Baltimore and put him in San Francisco, I would probably go San Francisco. But being that it's in Baltimore, I'm gonna take Baltimore.
Gotcha, man. I'm also going with Baltimore. When you look at the games that where the Niners have played against a really mobile quarterback, Russell Wilson, that's their only loss. Is when they played Russell Wilson. They played Kyler Murray twice, and they beat him, but they had no answer for Murray. He torched their defense 2 different times, man. That's the only 2 games of the season where a quarterback had a quarterback rating of 100 or higher against the 49ers, and both were Kyler Murray.
Okay.
And Kyler Murray is not nearly as far along in his development. I would argue that he is further along in his development than Lamar Jackson was at this point.
Okay.
But he's not as far along in his development as Lamar Jackson is, being a year younger in the league. But yeah, I think those things. I love San Francisco and what they're doing. I really do. But I'm not sure that they nor anyone else can stop Lamar Jackson at this point. I don't see how you could think that someone could with any authority to your thoughts. There's no if you've watched him, it's just incredible. It's a hot knife through butter. I like them at home a lot.
Yeah. So Stat's going to disagree. He's going to be the lone wolf. He's going to take the Niners, man. He loves Jimmy G, man. I mean, he thought Jimmy G is the next GOAT. So
it's also that long travel. There's a lot of things playing against them.
Gotcha, man. All right. So here we go. Tampa Bay on the road at Jacksonville in the battle of who's the worst team in Florida outside of Miami. Okay? And, man, it's just too hard for me to trust Jameis, man. I think that they should win this game. All signs point that they are the better team, but they just seem to let me down. And then they do something like, go to Atlanta last week and win. They roll out some trick plays. Jameis throws a pick, the first pass of the game. I'm gonna go with Jacksonville at home, and that's just for the reason being is they're at home.
Yeah.
If they give Fournette the ball, there's no doubt in my mind that Jacksonville wins this game.
Okay, they're not gonna give him the ball. They never do. They never do. I'm going with the Buccaneers, man. I said I was off that train, and I am. I just don't like what the Jags got going. It's a stagnant offense. Their defense is not what it was a couple of seasons ago by any stretch.
Not Saxonville anymore, huh?
No, it's not at all. And I still do have a lot of respect for Bruce Arians and what he does. I think he's a really good coach. I think he'll eventually get the Bucs going. And I think they go a little bit more than the Jags do this weekend. I'm going to disagree with you this time, first time today, and I'm going to take the Buccaneers.
All righty, so you're going to be the lone wolf on that one. Let's see. Let's say Pinhead is the lone wolf.
Oh.
And TVZ. So that obviously means that our buddy Stat, who's absent working, will be taking the Jacksonville Jaguars. On a fantasy note, though, if you do have Jameis Winston, play him. He should have big numbers. Depending on how your league scores. My league doesn't punish you that severely for interceptions, as you only lose 1 point. So, I mean, he's going to throw 2 of them. That seems to be his game average. You love Mike Evans. You love Chris Godwin. 17-14. Jones should get you a solid dozen. Nick Foles, God almighty, man.
Don't you kind of think that, though, when you look at the Bucs and the way they're made up, that they're like a Saquon Barkley away from being really good on offense?
I mean, dude, they should be so much better.
Well, a dynamic running back that they could play 3 downs, they could catch and all that would really. It seems to be a glaring need for this team. The offensive line has a lot of first-round picks on it, man.
They got a squad, man. It's shocking that they're that bad. It's got to be the uniforms.
Yeah, they're terrible. But they are better than they were when we were kids.
God,
that little queer buccaneer with a knife in his mouth, a little feather.
I like that orange better, though.
Well, maybe.
I just, them numbers
that
bother
pewter.
me.
They turned it to pewter. That's what they call that color. Yeah,
it's pewter.
Yeah, it's bad. But also, Arians' offense, his playbook is thicker than Tolstoy's, War and Peace. It's thick, man. So I said that too at the first of the season, that it's going to take them a while to figure this out.
Right.
And I still, deep in my mind, even though I've told y'all I'm off the bandwagon, that was for the season. Still, I think that Arians is going to be successful there overall. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with that pick.
Well, I mean, it's not a tough division. First off, if we think about it, Breeze is aging out.
Right.
I mean, God, I hate it, but Father Time is undefeated. We know that. Ron Rivera is not a winner. I love Ron. I think he's a great guy. If he walked in right now, I'll have a shot with him. Hell, you can have my last beer, Ron.
Yeah, he can have yours.
Yeah, he can have my last one. He's had 3 winning seasons. 4 of them he went to the playoffs. Right, we were 7-8-1, and luckily won our division. Had our division not have been bad, we wouldn't have gotten the playoffs. We were worse than the wild. We had a worse record than the wild card team.
No, let me put it this way to you: if the Buccaneers won the division next season, would that shock you?
Not at all.
Me either.
Not at all.
Me either.
Not at all. I mean, like we just mentioned, they've got all the talent in the world, and I mean,
and where they're going to be picking from.
There
will be a dynamic running back.
They should be able to get a running.
To go that
They've
way.
been taking one about every freaking year.
You take the wrong one, man. You take the wrong. No, don't take Ronald Jones, man.
I like Ronald Jones. I don't know why. I root for Ronald. I did have high preseason expectations for him, but he wasn't the right guy.
He doesn't hit the hole hard enough or fast enough. He's like a smaller Rondane. Which what good's that? I was dead right on Rondane when he came out of Wisconsin, too. I was like, man, he doesn't hit the hole at a pro speed. The same exact opposite thing that I saw out of Adrian Peterson when he came out. I was like, this guy is built for the NFL.
We had a fantasy draft, man. I can't remember what year it was, man. Rondane was drafted 3 times, twice by the same team, who didn't draft him the first time.
Whoa. How many drinks were flowing there?
I have no idea. But
I was in a draft one time in a different league, and this was crazy because the way we made our picks was we had to go up to a board and write the name on there. So you had to write the name. This guy gets up, and it was a redraft league. It was a total redraft league. He gets up, and in the 3rd round, inexplicably, he takes like 9th round talent and writes this up there, Corell Buckhalter. Okay, and we're all like, ooh, good Lord. He wasn't even the starter at Philly. It was like, what the hell kind of pick's that? Well, in the 7th round, the guy gets up there and writes, Corell Buckhalter. He wrote it. I mean, you wrote that like less than an hour ago, and now you're writing it again. I thought, I couldn't, it blew my mind. This guy apparently was like a little bit fragile of mind or something. He was a good friend of one of the guys in the league, so I was like told to not admonish the guy as I would have if he were in my league. I would have just burned him forever. Like, how in the hell? It still boggles my mind. You wrote Buckhalter.
Right.
And then an hour later, you forgot that you had written Buckhalter.
First off, you have to look that name up to spell it, more than likely.
Right.
Most people can't spell that name without looking at it first, right? So you looked at it, and therefore this is, I'm assuming back in the day, we weren't real digital. So
No.
I'm pretty sure you had your lineup here, and you probably had them in your roster like, oh, he's going to stunt.
Right. I'm going to take Correa.
You know what? He would be great if he was also my RB2.
Right. He's going to be so good. That was the most mind-boggling thing of any draft I've ever been in. But yeah, I get what you're saying, man. Who knows, man? But yeah, Ron Dane, man, not good.
All right, man.
All right, so what we got on that one?
So
We was 2-1.
was 2-1. Give you another name, man. He's probably available in a lot of leagues as he got dropped early this year. D.D. Westbrook. He had a real big connection early preseason with Nick Foles. I look for that to kind of continue, maybe cutting some of DJ Chark's touches and targets. So look for D.D. to have a pretty solid game, man. We're looking for sleepers this late in the year. Somebody to give you some depth on your bench. Look no further than D.D. All right, man. So here it is, the rematch that the world has been waiting for. Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh is a 2-point dog. 39.5 is the over-under. I like this game to go over. This is the game that everybody's going to be talking about, but not many people are going to be watching outside of that city. I think Cleveland's going to pick up where they left off. Mason Rudolph has been benched. They've made it clear that they're going to go with your boy Hodges, Duck as they call him. I think there's going to be not a whole lot of craziness in this game, as I think these teams will be on their best behavior. It's going to be both teams are going to be heavily watched in this game, so I think the refs are going to get in real early, making this game not as physical as we want to see it. But with that said, I think Chubb's still going to have a field day, and Hunt's still going to eat. So I look at those guys that, 17 points one way, 10 the other way in favor of Chubb. Landry, OBJ, those guys should have double-digit days. And here's another name for you. I like this name, Benny Snell Jr.
Benny Snell.
Benny Snell's going to get you maybe 10.
Gotcha. Man, this is a game that, who knows, man? I know that if it snows during this game, if I had front row tickets, I'm not going to the game.
I'm not going to the game.
Because every jackass that thinks that they can throw a snowball onto the field and doesn't quite have the arm is hitting me in the back of the head. I think that the crowd's going to be insane for this game. Yeah, I mean,
right.
I think the Steelers crowd is going to step up. Their defense still is good, even put in terrible positions by the offense. I think Devlin Hodges, he seems to be better than Rudolph, but I don't think by a tremendous amount or anything. I don't know, man. This game's tough to me, and the Browns are my second favorite team in the league to see lose, because they squirm similarly to the Cowboys. But for that fact, I'm going to take the Steelers at home.
Okay, so you're going to be long wolfing it. Long wolf
right.
pen with the Steelers here. All righty, man. Yeah, obviously Stat's going to take the Browns there. All righty, man. So the Rams are going to Arizona, where they're a 3-point favorite. Over-under is 46.5. Pinhead don't really know what to feel about this game, man.
I think it's fairly fantasy friendly.
Well, I think so. I can agree with that.
It's not a bunch of defensive action.
I'm going to pick Arizona at home, the upset. The Rams have just showed me not a lot. Their defense so we watched it Monday night. What you do? You just double team Aaron Donald. He's been double teamed over 500 times, more than any other player since last season.
Well, yeah, he's the only player to be doubled on over 500 plays in the league.
Yeah, so I think if you take him out the game, which, that's how you do it, right? From that position, it's not hard to double team a guy. And you take him out, I think that they can find some work running the ball, man. I think Jared Goff has a pretty good day. I think Kyler Murray has a good day. I think Kyler Murray's going to be the better of the two, 24 over 20. Gurley's going to have a decent day, maybe 16 points. Drake's going to have 15 points. Cooper Kupp's going to have 12. Kurt Christian's going to have 14. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty good matchup as far as fantasy goes. Maybe an exciting game, as neither one of these defenses have really impressed.
What do you think about the Cardinals' running game?
Well, again, I think I like Keenan Drake this week. I know you don't like to hear that, but it seems that's where they're leaning. He's getting the majority of the work there, so he's going to have opportunities.
Yeah, this is a tough game for me, man. I would like to think that the Rams have enough pride to buck up and win this game. I sadly don't. I think that the Cardinals. You guys know, you've been listening to me. I believe in Kyler Murray in a big way, and he's done some things that rookies don't do.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Cardinals here at home. Again, this is not one I'm overly confident in, but I do. The kid is a winner, and he's on my fantasy team. I'm going with the Cardinals.
Okay. Hey, man, I do want to rewind the track real quick, man. You had mentioned about the snowballs hitting you in the back of the head if you're sitting in the front row. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but, God, it's been many years. I was working at Sagebrush. I mean, we're talking about early 2000s. And this was when the old Hornets were still playing at the old Hive at the old Coliseum in Charlotte.
Right.
So internet just brand new kind of really, and we ordered tickets. I think there was about 8 of us. Jeff Martin and I had to work that evening or that morning, so we were going to meet the rest of the bunch down there. He picks me up from the bar. I've been drinking. I don't know what time it was, maybe 4 o'clock or so. And he runs me back to my place. Plyler, Kid, and I, we all had a place together, man. And in my infinite wisdom, I load up a cooler and we hit the road. And then we're pounding road sodas. I'm not advocating this. This is just what we did. I mean, we're talking about, some 19 years ago, man. I mean, I'm a 22-year-old man. I'm just now able to drink, and it sounds like a good idea at the time, right? So we're pounding drinks, and we stop at this gas station in, I don't know, Statesville, Salisbury, somewhere. And I'm feeling really nice. I've got to pee like something fierce. So I go into the bathroom, and for whatever reason, I have the tickets with me, right? I have the tickets with me in the bathroom, and I put them on top of the commode, and I piss and walk out. Meanwhile, I get back in the car. Jeff walks out of the gas station with another sixer. Like we really need more beer, right? So we're pounding. We finally get to the Coliseum. We get in the line, and I'm like, dude, I don't know where the tickets are. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know where they're at. And then it instantly hit me. I was like, dude, I left those in the bathroom. Well, luckily, we just go to will call. Well, my last name is McIntyre. So we're in the line, and we're behind Jeff McGinnis. This is when he was the Clippers. And, if you know Jeff Martin like we know Jeff Martin, he is a diehard Tar Heel fan. And he starts jock riding that man like you wouldn't believe. Oh, dude, you guys are going to be the ish next year. He's talking about the Clippers, Los Angeles. Like, you guys are going to be great next year, right? And, I mean, it's embarrassing, but, like, he's wasted. Like, and they're like, this tall-ass Jordan White dude is tripping, right? So we get to our seats, man, finally. And, we got Kid there, Amy, Jason, Lindsay, and whoever else was there. We finally get to the seats. Like, where the hell you guys been? Long story, we're here. Hornets had Glenn Rice then, and Baron Davis, right? So anyway, we're playing Jesus Shuttleworth. Anyway, so it's a great matchup, right? Anyway, man, so we get a couple cold ones, man. We're in a seat, and then the drama begins. Every time Jeff stands up, he drops beer on the lady in front of us. She's about 250. Her boyfriend is about 375. Right?
Ooh, I take it probably not a solid 375.
No, he was a big man though, right? So like every time he stood up, she would like flinch, right? It happened for about a quarter. All of a sudden, that big son of a bitch stood up, dude. He was about 6'6", 6'7". He was a monster. He stood up, and I did just like this. Like I sold him out. I'm not handling that, dude.
That ain't me.
Like, and he was like, enough already. So we had to move Jeff to the end seat. To where he could
which probably better.
Right, so he could spill it in the aisle so somebody could slip and bust their ass later that
He's
evening.
lucky the guy didn't just turn around and out him.
Boy, I thought he was
like lights out.
But we were talking about getting hit in the back of the head, and all I could think of is that poor lady just every time he stood up, just kind of, just flinching.
Right.
And black women don't like to get their hair wet.
No.
That's a no-no.
No, that ain't good worth a damn.
I mean, she went out to a playoff game, she done got her hair done, and this son of a bitch is spilling not just water in her hair, beer. Oh, I thought it. Jeff somehow talked his way out of it. And by the time it was done, man, I mean, he's a smooth dude, man. He's pounding the big dude up, and he's like, all right, man, I got you. So we moved him on the end seat. Anyway, wrap this story up. As we were leaving the stadium, we couldn't find his car. And it was all parking right there. We walked around that Coliseum like 3 times. So we said, screw it, man. Let's just wait till everybody leave. But we're just sitting there. And cars are passing by, and all of a sudden we hear like, dude, what are y'all doing? And it's like Adam and all of those guys.
Oh.
And like, what are y'all doing? Jeff swinging from a tree. Like, I'm just kind of sitting in the grass. I'm like, man, we couldn't find his car. They was like, dude, it's right there. So, needless to say, they took his keys. They took his keys and made him ride in passenger of his own car. But it was a great time, man. Anyway.
That sounds like it, man. That's fun stuff, man.
Yeah.
Going to live events and acting a fool.
Yeah, well, luckily my man didn't get beat up, so it all worked out. So we can tell that story and have fun. All righty, man. So let's move over. Let's move over to Oakland, traveling to Kansas City, where they will be a 9.5-point dog. Over under is 51.5 points. Kansas City is going to pound. I know this is a division game, and it's all set up to where they should pound, but they really need this win. Yeah, I mean, they need this win, and I think they're going to get it. I like Patty Mahomes to have a huge day, 29 points. Tyreek Hill is going to throw up 20 burger, TK 15. Even Damon Williams is going to have a decent 10-point performance. On the other side of the ball, man, hopefully they can get Josh Jacobs going early if they can. They get him going early, he should get you about 15, 16 points. If they don't get him going early enough, I mean, you're going to play him anyway because he's at this point he's an RB1. But hopefully he can get some production early in that game as this thing's going to get out of hand. And then, you know, Waller's a baller. You're going to play that dude. So, but I'm going with Kansas City with no surprise there. I don't think there's much more to be said about this.
I don't either. If you lose horribly one week to the Jets, I'm probably not picking you to beat the Chiefs. And so that's what's going down here. I like the Chiefs to win by 10 or so, at least.
At least.
30 to 20, something like that. 34 to, 24, 21, something like that. But, yeah, I think this will be a decently fantasy-friendly game for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, the Chiefs are better than the Raiders.
Absolutely.
They're more well-coached, and they've got more talent.
Absolutely.
I'm going that way.
Absolutely. What do you think about Derek Carr being benched last week, man?
Well, I think that's a bad sign for your franchise.
Yeah.
That's a bad look. I mean, you didn't bench him because you had some hot young commodity behind him.
You had Glennon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not. I don't like that look at all, man. I ride with that guy if he's my guy, and my second guy is Mike Glennon.
Right.
I ride with Carr. I think that's a bad move. So, it's like I heard
future in this league in your eyes.
At this point, not a whole heck of a lot, and just to be just emasculated like that, to be benched. I remember the story of. My buddy Jerry told me not long ago, and I looked it up, and it's true that Bart Starr was talking about when he played for legendary Vince Lombardi. And he said that it was a play in practice where he threw a pass that was intercepted like near the goal line. Mm-hmm. And I said that Lombardi just jumped him and just reamed him out. Just right, rah, 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 you blah, blah, blah. Now, so after the practice, he went and they knocked on the coach's door and kind of have a word with him, sure. And he came in and he's like, look, coach, he said, I'm the leader on this team. And he said, the guys look up to me. He said, if you cut me off like that in front of everybody, he said, bring me in here and cuss me up one side and down the other and smack me in the mouth. Mm-hmm. But just don't do it in front of the guys because they look up to me. Mm-hmm. And he said that after that point, he said Lombardi remained silent. But after that point, he never berated him in front of the team again.
Wow, I thought he cussed him out. I thought that's what that was.
No, and also we're talking about Jimmy Johnson, and I'm talking about early years that he had with the Cowboys, where they seemed they didn't have immediate success. Mm-hmm. He and Aikman didn't get along.
Right.
He said they were really butting heads, and he said that afterwards, later after he had retired from coaching, that that was one of the things that he really regretted. Well, he feels like to be successful that the head coach and the quarterback have to get along. Mm-hmm. And so what the Raiders did with Carr. To me, that's almost like just rolling over on your back or an ego type play,
right.
Which I don't think's out of the question for a guy like Gruden,
right?
At all.
Well, I
think it's in character for a guy like Gruden.
Well, it's been said though that they spent all off season together, becoming buddy, father son, chums, whatever. So it was really shocking to see that, I have not really been a fan of Carr since his rookie campaign. I mean, outside of that, he's done nothing to make me think that not only should he not lead a pro team, he shouldn't lead your fantasy team. You know,
I certainly agree with that.
and I mean, you look at, I hate to say, look at his brother, but I mean, apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He's backup worthy. He can come in and maybe win you if your starter's out 4 games, maybe win you 2 of them. Kind of keep you in a playoff hunt. But I don't think he's good enough to start. He just hadn't shown me anything, and maybe there's some method to this madness that they're doing in Oakland. I just don't understand it, man. So anyway, Stat G's going with the Chiefs. So there's another clean sweep for you, ladies and gentlemen. All righty, man. So here's going to be a good game. The Chargers at Denver, where the Denver Broncos are a underdog at home.
That's a rare thing.
Yeah. 2.5 points. Over under is 38.5 points. At this point of the year, I think it's safe to say that Phillip Rivers isn't the guy that we anticipated him being coming off of that season last year. I don't know that the Broncos defense is great, but I think it's good enough to get it done at home. I think Rivers has made some bad decisions this year, and I think we'll see more men made this week. I can see him having as many as 3 picks in this game with the pressure that he's going to be facing, maybe 4 sacks. So the big play in this game is going to be Denver's defense. If you got to play Lindsey, he might be good for about 12, 13 points. And then at this point, you're going to start Curtin Sutton. But I don't think that, there's much to be done on the other side of the ball outside of Keenan Allen, who's good for about 12, 13 fantasy points.
Right. Well, so I don't know, man. I think the old man's got one more in him, just enough to squeak out a win here. This is another not very fantasy friendly game. I could see it being 20-14 kind of game, something like that. But I like the Chargers to win, just because I think that guy. I just think Rivers is a better competitor than what the Broncos tried out. Who is their quarterback? Allen?
Brandon Allen.
Right. And like I said before, not every man whose last name's Allen can play quarterback in the NFL.
No. I think they're all going to win this week. But
yeah, I know you do. I don't. I like Rivers, and I think that he'll be able to find Keenan Allen enough deep, because I don't like the Broncos' chances of scoring.
Yeah.
But this game I think could be pretty close to maybe 2017, something like that. But not if you can start guys in other games, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you there. And like I said, I like Denver's defense just because of what I've seen turnover prone. I mean, if Phillip throws 2 to 3 picks, there's 2 to 3 chances of your defense being able to get a touchdown.
Oh yeah, and that's where the playmakers are for the Broncos.
Right. So you're going to be lone wolf on this. As Stat is going with the Denver Broncos as well. So we've had a handful of picks here. Penn, you've been lone wolf on 3 of them, and Stat has been on 1.
All right. Well, I'm probably wrong.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to see, man. All right, man. Here should be a good game, man. New England at Houston. Houston is a 3-point dog at home, 44.5-point favorite. I'm going to take the home team. That offense in New England is struggling. They've got a lot of injuries. They're playing 2 rookie receivers.
They got a bunch of guys that drop passes.
They do have that. Well, they're young. They're young guys, Outside of number 11, they played N'Keal Harry last week, and then they played Jacoby, whatever his name is, from NC State. I didn't know that until I looked it up. But anyway, I just think that the amount of injuries and the sense of urgency that Watson and Hopkins will have in a must-win game for them is going to outshine TB12, who will be good enough for 22 points. I like number 11, Edelman, good for 14. Sony's good for 10. On the other side, Watson is good for 24. He's going to be the quarterback in this game to start. Hopkins is going to be good for 15. Will Fuller has been a stud of late. He's catching a lot of balls, man. He's really benefiting off of the double coverage that Hopkins is seeing, and Watson is taking advantage of it here late in the season. So that guy's a sleeper play. Definitely a strong wide receiver, number 2. And Carlos Hyde should be good for about 13. I think this game is going to be strongly favored by the Texans.
Wow, that's bold, man. I also really like your call on Will Fuller. You got Stephon Gilmore is going to be covering Nuke, and I think that's going to be a battle. I don't think there's a corner that beats Nuke. You know how I feel about the guy. I think he's one of the premier players at that position,
Sure.
and I don't think he knows where he's going on his route, and you don't. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that just can shut him down. If Watson and the Texans want to really push the ball to him, he'll still catch it. With a guy of that caliber on him. But it is a tough matchup compared to some other weeks where he doesn't have to play against Stephon Gilmore.
Right. Who is arguably one of the best corners in the league.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And one of the more physical. And
Right.
It's not that Nuke that he has a problem with physical corners. He doesn't really have a problem with any corners.
Right.
But that could still be a road, a speed bump in the road there. I for some reason, I just think Tom Brady gets this done. I don't know why. I've been picking the Texans all year.
All year you have.
Yeah, and
That shocks me.
Yeah, well, I would even have them a little higher in my power rankings than you, but not enough to have mentioned when you said it. Just maybe a spot or two, but yeah, it's just Tom Brady, man. Damn it! Just when I think, he's not going to get it done, but he gets it done. And Vegas knows more than me, and they've got him as a 3.5 point favorite on the road. The Texans haven't been able to run the ball very much lately. It's been pretty much all based on Watson and his playmaking abilities.
Right.
I'm gonna go with the Patriots, man. Even on the road, I'm pulling for the Texans. Hard as far as a fan.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not gonna pick them here.
Yeah. Well, before the season started, we were talking about something that wasn't. I can't remember what we were talking about. Anyway, Stat brought up, Gilmore. He's the best corner. I think we were talking about, Lowe's having a special long age beef. And then out of nowhere, he just comes in like, oh, Gilmore.
Who the hell cares?
Right. So, but, to his defense, man, he's been spot on as that kid has been a beast this year. And their defenses look great. Again, I just think, the sense of urgency is going to be strong enough for them to win. I was just pulling up Houston's record here, 7-4. I was trying to get there. Okay. So week 1, they lost to the Saints. They beat the Jags 13-2. Beat the Chargers. Lost to the Panthers.
They beat the Jags. What was the score?
13-12. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry. I said
that's
2.
okay.
I said 2.
2 would be great.
They lost to the Panthers. Murdered the Falcons in a game. That was a great game. That was that 53-32 game. That was a fun ball game to watch if you had any guy on that team, fantasy wise. They beat the Chiefs. Then they lost to the Colts. They beat the Raiders by 3. They beat the Jags again. They pounded them. Then they got pounded by the Ravens, and they beat the Colts by 3. Boy, that's just really inconsistent, man. When I look at him, I'm not going to change my pick. I'm going to stay Lone Wolf. Stat for this game put duh.
Right.
He didn't even pick a team. He said duh. So we already knew where he was going on that. But I'll be Lone Wolf on one today.
I'm pulling for you, man.
I am too. All right, man. Let's make our way over to Monday Night Madness, where I think we're going to have a really good ball game as the Minnesota Vikings travel to Seattle. Seattle is a 3-point favorite at home. Over under is 49. Fun fact, Seattle sucks at home this year.
Weird.
Yeah, they hadn't been. That's where they've struggled the most this year. However, I think Seattle's the real deal. I think, personally, that they're the best team in the NFC. Again, that might just be me throwing shade or hate against the 49ers. I don't know what it is. I wasn't a huge Russell Wilson fan years ago, but I am a huge fan right now. I think he's going to have a great performance against a Minnesota's defense that is very inconsistent. Look for him to have 28, 29 points. Chris Carson gets it done. Hopefully he stays in the game and we don't see Rashard Penny sighting, but count on him for 16. Lockett has just been solid this year. Expect a 16-point day. And DK Metcalf, man, has been a pleasant surprise, man. I really like this guy. I actually wanted the Panthers to draft
How was
him.
he a surprise? Did you not see, lay eyes on him before the draft?
No, he's been a really big surprise because first off, he was injured coming in.
But, I mean, when you first looked at the kid, he was one of those you're like, good Lord.
Okay, let me take that back. He's not really been a surprise.
I'm just busting your chops.
No, he's actually what I really actually was really hoping the Panthers took this guy. That's the guy that I really wanted out of this draft because, we made the statement that we're going to get smaller and faster at receiver. We went out and we got,
to help our not overly accurate quarterback.
Right. Who throws the ball, who sells the ball on average.
He might need a giant dude with a huge catch radius.
Right.
Instead of let's get smaller and faster.
Right.
That's harder to hit and less of a target range.
Yeah. So, I was really
I agree
high
with
on
you,
Cat,
man. 100%.
I think he's going to have a pretty solid day, man, as he has stepped up. On the other side, man, look for Kirk Cousins and company to perform. You got to be silly to think Cook's not going to eat, as he's been eating against everybody. And Seattle's defense isn't what it used to be, right? Their Seattle's defense and name right alone, they're going to give up 21 points to Dalvin Cook. Thielen is back in business, so that's going to help Cousins reach his mark at 22. And I see Thielen and Diggs right there, 15, 14 points apiece, man. So I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. Man, what you think about this game here?
Well, man, I just think the Vikings coming off the bye, they're the healthiest they've been all season, with Thielen back. Mm-hmm. And you got a 29th ranked pass defense in Seattle. I just, for some reason, I think they're going to be able to balance the run and the pass against this bunch. That's their problem generally when they get bogged down is the pass game slows down, and then the defense focuses on the run and limits Cook. I mean, he's been able, like you say, he's had a great year against most everybody. But that's when they seem to struggle, is when they can't, their passing game's not going. But I think the return of Adam Thielen and a week off and a weak Seattle pass defense, I think that is going to make the difference. And I think Kirk Cousins gets a real statement win here for the Vikings. I think they smell blood in the water after Green Bay just got stomped.
Absolutely.
I think this, if they don't come out and win this game, even if they lose, they've got to be really up. If they don't come out and look really fired up like a playoff game, I'd be surprised. And I don't know that Seattle will be able to match that intensity if they can bring it, because they've got a really talented bunch. This is a close game. I think that you're right. This is going to be one that you want to start most everybody you got in, and don't turn the damn game off before it's over, because Seattle is just ridiculous. Right. I don't see Seattle blowing out Minnesota at all. If Seattle wins, I think they do something late, because that's how they win.
That's kind of how
they do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do. He does something late, and then slack them, they win. But they don't blow anybody out.
No, they don't. I mean, so to your point, all right. So week one, they beat the Chargers by 8. That's not a blowout. That's what you're supposed to do. They actually probably should have beat them by more. We didn't know who the Chargers were then, so it was like, oh, okay. Then they beat the Raiders by 2. They beat the Bengals by 1. They beat the Steelers by 2. They lost to the Saints. Then they beat the Cardinals, but we're talking about a young Cardinals team. So that really, we thought that out the window. That was a 17-point victory. However, not to be outdone, then they beat the Rams by 1. They beat the Browns by 4. Then they got pounded by the Ravens, because everybody's getting pounded by Ravens. They beat the Falcons by 7, which they were a 10.5-point favorite that week. Beat the Bucks by 6. And that game was 40-34. That game should have never got that high scoring. That's 74 freaking points. Then they beat the Niners by 3. And then last week we saw what they did against the Eagles. They have the toughest schedule in the NFL. It's ranked the toughest. I hear what you're saying, and I think a lot of that to be the same for Seattle. I think they saw what happened to Green Bay, and they know that they need to win this game if they want to win that conference there.
Well, see, I kind of see it different. That for them to win their division, they just saw the Rams look bad again.
Right. Well, the Rams, yeah.
I mean, or maybe their chances to make the playoffs and win the division because they're still got to deal with the Niners.
Right,
But,
and that's what I was saying. I mean, the Niners Green Bay game. I mean, after saying that, I think this has to be a statement game for Russell and company. Maybe.
This is a crucial game for both of these teams. This is a big, if you're a pro, you put on your big boy pants and you come out fighting on this one, man.
These are two wild card teams or division winners.
Right. They're the only. Those are the only questions left in the NFC.
Right.
Because the Rams are out. We know who the playoff teams are going to be.
Right.
Are they going to be division winners or are they going to be?
Right.
And who's going to be the overall conference champion? To get the one seed. That the NFC is locked up. We know who the playoff teams are at this
really
point.
Do.
Yeah.
Well, outside of the East, because the East is just so unpredictable. Dallas can go on a
but I mean, we know that it's going to be the division winners and then these
4 teams.
Right.
Out of those 2 divisions.
Right.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. And whoever wins the East will be bounced unceremoniously in the first round.
Quick. By a wild card.
And it's going to be the Eagles. The Eagles are going to win that division.
Probably.
I mean, you know what they got going out? They've got the Redskins twice, the Giants twice, and the Dolphins.
Well, that should. I mean, it lines up well for them.
That's yeah.
It lines up well for them.
Captain understatement. Yeah, dude. No, and the Cowboys had to play people.
They didn't have to play anybody early, so let's keep that in mind.
Right. No, the Eagles are going to win that division. I'd put decent money on that for sure. With knowing that that's their schedule.
You get the Giants and the Skins twice. Man.
And then the Dolphins are the other team.
If you're you're a coach there, you got to be like, thank you, God.
I know.
Oh my God, this is great for me. Like we're gonna win.
Yeah.
5 of those.
Right. And the Cowboys are, they are what we thought they were. Again,
overrated.
Traveling circus.
Just such a bad team, man. So again, Pinhead, man. Either you're gonna be, you're gonna fall behind, or you're gonna take a monstrous leap next week.
Guess what I'm betting on?
I mean, you've long wolfed this thing, man. As the absence stat is going to go with the noble one and take the Hawks 2 weeks in a row. That's 2 weeks in a row you've picked against the Hawks.
Well, they don't beat anybody by anything, man. They're due to lose. I mean, it's not like they come out and boy, they look so much better than that team. And it doesn't matter who they're playing.
Right.
They don't ever look that much better than anybody. Russell Wilson makes plays in the fourth quarter and they win. That's it. But this team's good. This Vikings team is good, man. They're solid on both sides of the ball, and they can run the ball.
True.
They're good, man.
And maybe that's what has me sold. If I take pieces and memories of the games that they win, and I'm like, boy, he looks freaking great in these moments. I like him, man. I mean, I like him, man. And I was joking.
But that's kind of the thing, he has these moments.
Mm-hmm.
If you're beating teams by 30, you don't have moments like that.
No,
you don't. You got a bunch of highlights and numbers,
right?
But you don't have moments like that,
right?
Because
you know what I really like about that kid, though, man. Outside of his gorgeous ass wife,
what's that?
He acts like he's been there 100 times. He's always had that. You know what I mean? He's just an easy, likable guy.
Yeah, no, I like Russell Wilson.
Some people are just easy to like, man, and he's one of them. I didn't really like him a whole lot at first because it had nothing to do with where he went to school. It was just that, they would just come to Charlotte or we'd go there and they just thump us.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to get over the fact that, my franchise isn't that good. And,
I think with David Tepper, I think he's really going to make changes, man.
Well, he's not married to anybody there.
Right.
None of that has anything to do with him. He's the richest owner in the league, and he is a winner.
He wants to win.
Now,
I have no doubt that it reminds me a lot of when Dan Snyder bought the Redskins. He was the richest owner in the league at the time, and all this, and he did then, and I still believe Dan Snyder really, really wants to be a winner.
Right
there, but it's about how you handle it. I think that combination of being the richest owner in the league and being a competitor and wanting to win is one that should work. if you handle it correctly. And I'm thinking that Tepper has a chance to do that. He can, but you've got to put football people in football jobs.
Yeah.
You can't put business people in football jobs. You can't put PR people in football jobs. And you can't give people jobs just because that other people are saying it's the right thing to do or it's not.
Right.
But I think he's kind of a lone wolf that, I think the Panthers are in better hands now.
So, I loved the big cat. I did. I mean, he was a great guy. I met him once. He was a super nice guy. He didn't buy me a beer or anything, which I was a little pissed off about.
Right.
I mean, like, concessions at that time, it was like $8.50 a beer. I was younger and broker and like could have really used a beer, But outside of that, he was a nice enough fella to get out the golf cart and say what's up. It was me and a bunch of cats, man. We were kind of hanging out close to the stadium waiting to get in. That was back in the day when I lived up there, and I went to every game, man. And I went to a Panther game. This was on 1 in 15 year. Winky was at the ham. I can't remember who we were playing because it was so irrelevant. They were giving tickets away. And that's when I met them. They were giving tickets away to keep the game from being blacked out.
Right.
So Duke Energy and a couple other sponsors, major sponsors, chipped in and bought a bunch of tickets. And they leaned on the fire department, Charlotte Fire Department. Thank those guys for everything that they do, to hand out tickets. And you just walk up and be like, nah, I need lower level. That's the kind of asshole I was.
Right.
Like, you give me a free ticket. Nah, dog, I need to come down a little bit. But I met him. He was a pretty good guy, but he showed a lot of loyalty to players late in their career. Dan Morgan, Jake DeLong, just these guys as they got older. And they were
It's
great.
just a terrible recipe.
There's no love in business.
No.
As I've learned at my ripe age of 41.
It got me.
So.
It really did get me when they jettisoned DeLome and Peppers in the same year. And you had these press conferences, man. You had a press conference with Peppers, when he was released, and he's happy, and he's like ready to go to Chicago and this and that. And you had DeLome, and he was crushed. Just crushed, man, and I like, to me, I feel kind of like that was relevant. Hey, ladies.
Hey, the lovely Miss Rachel.
All right.
To bring us some money. Oh, she
No,
laughs. That
but
means
to me, that was sort of akin to like the Redskins and Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Like, that dude gave his all, man, and he wasn't bad. He went to the damn Super Bowl, I mean, he's and he played good that year. He was a poor man's Brett Favre.
Yeah.
But just that type of loyalty is a thing that you can't buy. People that want to be with your team. I remember hearing, like, when LeBron James was like, I would love to play in Cleveland. It was like, well, you better get him, because nobody ever says that. No damn body ever says that.
Kyrie blew it up just to get out.
Right.
And then was like, I was tripping. But what he really didn't want to say was,
I didn't want to live in Cleveland.
I don't want to live there. I hate it there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. But it was like, and I'm not trying to cast shade on Peppers. He was a great player. He'll go in the Hall of Fame, or hopefully as a Panther. I would think he would.
Yeah.
But that day just was like, damn, man. I mean, you could just tell one guy cared about the team and the franchise and the town, and one guy was and they're different level players. I mean, you're talking about one of the very best defensive linemen of all time against a guy who was a journeyman quarterback with flashes of brilliance, But so I kind of get it. I mean, his future was brighter, and he's got 48 million reasons to smile and all that. But just still, the emotion that DeLome showed, to me, was kind of the way I feel about Cousins. I mean, Cousins would have signed, if the Redskins would have given him a contract, he would have signed, and he would have been a Redskin for the rest of his life.
And they should have did that.
They should have, without a damn doubt.
They really treated that kid bad, man.
Well, it's crazy because they act like, we don't want to pay him. Well, you did pay his ass.
You did pay. They franchised him, what?
Twice. So it was insane money for 2 years.
He actually made out like, I love it when cats do that, when they really eat. I love it, man. I love it because
Cousins played the game better than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, the league is set up for players not to win.
Right.
In the league,
Earl Thomas and shit like that.
Right. In the league that should be set up for, because they generate more revenue than any other professional.
Joe Flacco also played it great. He said, okay, I won't hold out then. He wanted to hold out. I want a new deal. I've made the playoffs every year I've been your quarterback. First 4 years of my career. That's great. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to hold out. I'm gonna go. We're gonna win the Super Bowl, and mostly because of me. In those playoffs.
He actually played great.
He played great.
And that's when the whole controversy or the whole
is he elite?
Came about.
Well, he's never been. He got 100 in a match. Yeah. And was he elite then? Yeah, without question. For that 2-month span, he was extremely elite, as you'll ever see a quarterback. Mm-hmm. But that's not who he was overall. But he got paid.
Right.
He played that game perfectly.
Right. Well, I've been fortunate enough to meet a bunch of Panther players. I met Julius Peppers. I met Jake DeLong. And you want to talk about two different personalities. You know, the thing that turned Julius Peppers off so much from Charlotte was the owner. The owner embarrassed him at a team event where he said to Julius, after we had lost, I think Mike Manor, Brinson Buckner, Chris Jenkins. We'd lost a ton of guys, man. He looked at Peppers and we're gonna look to you for you to step up and be a leader, and that was a role that he never wanted, and it just was a big turnoff for him. And all he wanted to do was go there, chase the quarterback, get his stats, and play football.
Not
and just
everybody's a leader,
right?
Or comfortable in that role.
And then Jake DeLong, man, one of the most humble people I've ever met. I mean, I met him when I was working at the Great Wolf Lodge, man. Just the nicest fella, man. Just would do anything in the world for anybody. I mean, he was walking around like he got sacked for a living. You know, he had that O.J. Simpson walk. You know what I mean? Right. That stiff lower body walk. You know, and just a really nice guy, man. But anyway, I digress, man. So, well, it's come to that point of the show, man, where
what happened to JP?
Oh, yeah, we're going to play JP, man. We actually went long on a Monday night surprise, man. We got a little surprise for you guys, man. We're going to bring that in. So just tune in for that podcast as it'll air separate. It went about 48 minutes, 52 minutes, somewhere around that. And so we didn't want to put it in here and make this episode over 3 hours long here. So, but yeah, man, good stuff there, man. Pinhead dropped by for a little bit as he was out dropping off flyers and delivering darts.
Promoting bands.
Yeah, man. Hey, speaking of that, man, don't you have an event coming up soon?
I do, man. I've got a great band called Few Miles South out of Georgia. Really good honky tonk band. Tory Lunn's a really good lead singer and plays the guitar. Got some chicken picking on the electric guitar, pedal steel guitar, upright bass and drums. What more you want, man? It's going to be a hoedown at the Century Park Tavern. That's on December 14th. And on our next show, I'm going to play you one of their songs, and I think you'll like it. But if you don't, then you can fast forward through that. But I think you will.
Well, we'll intro it so that way they ain't got no choice.
Oh, hell yeah.
And we'll play it at the end, too.
All right, man.
We might play it in the middle. We'll play that song 7 times.
That's the kind of support we need. They've got several good songs. We got several, man. I mean, really. They're from, got big out in L.A. and just moved back to Georgia.
And they got big out in L.A.?
Yeah, they've got a big West Coast following, but but that's how I was able to get them here at a bar so small and intimate as the Century Park Tavern, is that they don't have a whole lot of touring spots around in this part of the country.
It's a guy and a girl, right?
Well, it's a 5-piece band.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I just saw the poster, so
that's what I'm saying. She plays acoustic guitar. He plays leads. Then you got a pedal steel player, an upright bass player, and a drummer. It's a full. They're gonna get down, man. It's gonna be a fun time. Tickets are $10 in advance, 12 at the door. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a great time, man.
I might even be at the door.
Hey, man, you should be, Reg. They're really good. I mean, she writes some great lyrics, man.
That's dope,
some
man.
meaningful stuff, and I hope everybody comes out and parties with us.
Right, man, and we'll have that information. We'll post that information on our Facebook, Twitter, and IG, as well as our description on our podcast. That way you'll get an opportunity to come check those folks out, man.
I got one last thing, kids. If you accidentally shoot yourself in the testicles,
please,
before you go to the hospital,
please
remove the balloon of pot from your anus.
And hide the meth.
Hide the meth. Don't leave the meth in the car.
If you're going to put anything in your bum,
make it the meth.
Make it the meth.
Man, that's solid advice.
Hey, man. So, I can't say anything. Hey, that's the best way we've ever signed off the show. So, with that said, man, let's toast the greatness, man. Cheers to young Rachel. Cheers to Coke. Man.
Cheers.
Captain in the glass. Well, this has been real fun, man. 2 weeks in a row, I've got to hang out with my partner, my man, my friend, my bosom buddy, the bearded wonder, the Pinhead, man. Thanks for the hospitality tonight, man. It's been a great show, man. I think we did a pretty good job. Hopefully we get some positive feedback. And one last thing before we get off the air here, man. Did we ever get in touch with KRS-One about coming to the tavern?
Ooh. No, I should really try that though.
I think that would be kind of dope.
It would be like probably a $40 ticket.
Yeah. But to see him in an intimate setting like that,
it'd be the
dope.
illest.
Dude,
I've seen him, I don't know, 6, 7 times, man. Like, I don't miss Chris when he comes around.
Right.
Chris Parker.
Right.
Chris Parker.
Him or the Biz.
I've seen the Biz, but I didn't see him rap. I saw him DJ one night, and the Biz has one of the wildest physical builds of any human being I've ever seen. You know, you see the Biz and you think he's huge. If you see the Biz from behind, he looks thin. If you're looking straight behind him, he has this big belly, but it just comes straight out. It goes straight out, but like way out. It's
like,
yeah. If you look at him from behind,
you're like,
I mean, he's got a little bit of bulge on the side. But then you get in the front, and it's all way out in front of him. It's wild.
Yeah.
He's got the classic Dickie-Doo disease, where his belly stick out further than his Dickie-Doo. Right.
Yeah, I got it.
But no, he is an oddly shaped fella, but an extreme talent. I love the Biz. Yeah, the Biz, man. Biz Markie. If I could get Biz Markie to DJ for KRS-One at the tavern,
I would definitely.
It would be
definitely
probably an expensive ticket.
Yeah, I think we've got enough heads in Kernersville to fill that thing up, man, quick. So, anyways, it's food for thoughts, man. So, hey, we're gonna get out of here, man. We appreciate everybody for downloading, sharing our podcast. The feedback that we get, man, is always phenomenal, man. Thank you guys for your support. For the absent Stat G and my man Pinhead, this is your boy Reggie Noble saying peace.
Cheers.